Emma sneered at me after I announced my resignation, and I responded by maintaining a silent, steady gaze. Our conversation had revolved around the company's decision to cut labor costs, with particular disdain aimed at those supposedly exploiting overtime pay. Lucas, too, seemed to relish the notion of trimming expenses. A week later, my phone incessantly rang with calls from the company. Upon answering, the president inquired sharply, "Who exactly are you?" I couldn't help but scoff mockingly at the president's question. In response, I introduced myself as Daisy Jane, a 59-year-old employee with 37 years of dedicated service since my college graduation. I explained our company's role in providing administrative services, particularly catering to busy company presidents, handling clerical work, and specializing in tax-related matters. I proudly managed 45 clients, a responsibility that had grown overwhelming despite the assistance of a part-timer. Despite the challenges, I couldn't show any sign of weakness. Our clients were long-standing relationships, and their adversities fueled my determination. Today, as I sat in front of my computer, the relentless harassment from Lucas and Emma weighed heavily on my mind. Lucas, 7 years my junior and now the head of the tax department, had drastically changed his demeanor 3 months ago upon his promotion. His once polite tone was replaced with condescension and complaints, making every interaction a struggle. Even when I countered, he remained unfazed, instructing me to consult the manual for guidance and warning against unnecessary actions. Emma, Lucas's assistant, joined in the harassment, criticizing my efficiency and mocking my rank-and-file status. Despite being the first to decline a promotion to department head, a fact unknown to Lucas and Emma, I committed to completing my regular duties. Their harassment persisted, with Lucas accusing me of increasing overtime and branding it a waste. Emma echoed his sentiment, sighing as she claimed my constant overtime was dragging down the entire tax department's performance. The recent cause of my overtime was Lucas unexpectedly leaving a month's worth of client files on my desk to be filed by the end of the month. After work, my face drained of color as I glanced at the files before me. "Wait, these all have deadlines this month, right?" I uttered in confusion. However, before I could grasp the gravity of the situation, Lucas was already packing up his desk, completely uninterested in addressing my concerns. "I'm heading out, take care," he casually remarked as he swiftly left the office, leaving me with a pile of urgent tasks. Emma followed suit, adding insult to injury with a mocking laugh. The incredulity of the situation weighed on me, and I sighed heavily as I opened the client files scattered on my desk. To my dismay, some of the files were originally Emma's responsibility. The realization deepened my sigh. I understood why Lucas had been subjecting me to relentless harassment. They wanted me to retire quickly. My extensive experience and deeper knowledge in taxation made me a preferred resource for other members of the tax department over Lucas. Lucas's unapproachable demeanor and unattractive appearance made everyone except Emma avoid him. It seemed Emma's proximity to him was strategic, driven by Lucas's preference for younger female employees. The shallow nature of their thinking sent a chill down my spine. Emma's harassment was not just a personal vendetta, she aimed to curry favor with Lucas, the one evaluating the tax department's performance. Despite these challenges, I had to manage the declarations alongside preparing tax documents for my assigned companies. It seemed today's workload was far from over. However, claiming overtime would only invite complaints from Lucas and Emma, leaving me resigned to the prospect of unpaid extra hours. Unexpectedly, I received a summons to the president's office. Our company had recently undergone a change in leadership due to the former president's sudden illness. The new president, the former president's son, wasn't fully acquainted with our company. As I entered the office, I noticed Lucas and Emma with unpleasant smirks on their faces. In a tense atmosphere, the president dropped a bombshell. "Daisy, we'll need you to resign by the end of this month." My mind spun as I asked for clarification. Lucas and Emma had apparently accused me of overbilling for overtime, citing that while others had around 15 hours, I had exceeded 80 hours. The president, oblivious to the true circumstances, seemed impressed with Lucas and Emma's zero overtime. The reality of the situation hit me. The inflated overtime was a result of doing Lucas and Emma's work. However, revealing Lucas's instructions would risk portraying it as my own inability to manage time effectively. I presented the facts, asserting that I hadn't overbilled for overtime but struggled to finish my workload within regular hours. The president sighed deeply, expressing doubt but acknowledging the lack of evidence to pursue the matter further. Nevertheless, he insisted that they couldn't retain someone working at such a slow pace. Resigned to the situation, the president suggested my resignation, and it seemed his mind was made up. Told to leave the company I had devoted 37 years to, I felt a weariness settle in. Despite my dedication, the additional workload from Lucas and Emma went unappreciated. I agreed to resign at the end of the month, acknowledging that I had already communicated my decision to the president. As I glanced at Lucas and Emma, their vulgar smiles reflected satisfaction. Leaving the president's office, Emma taunted me with a sarcastic, "Thanks for quitting," her sneer cutting through. I responded with a silent stare, facing similar disdain from Lucas, who shared his approval of cutting labor costs and labeled me as someone exploiting overtime pay. Observing their cheerful conversation, I pondered the handover process. Creating documents for all my clients, I ensured proper farewells and appointments with those I could meet personally. Unable to schedule a meeting with the president, I resorted to letters to inform them of my successor. A week post-resignation, I enjoyed a moment of relaxation at home. My phone rang repeatedly, and seeing the company's name on the screen, I hesitated. I had already completed the social insurance procedures after resigning, so their persistent calls, along with Lucas and Emma's personal numbers, confused me. Reluctantly, I picked up. The president's urgent voice came through, asking, "Who exactly are you?" Amused, I mockingly replied, "Just an unemployed lady who resigned." Nothing more. The president, however, quickly revealed the situation. The company was in chaos. Since my resignation, they had received 49 calls from clients halting transactions. Desperation colored his voice as he pleaded for my return. With a sigh, I rose from my seat and made my way back to the office. When I arrived, I found Lucas and Emma waiting. Their faces were drawn and weary, dark circles etched under their eyes. Surprised by their haggard appearances, I asked what was going on. Lucas glared at me and spat, "Since you left, we've been bombarded with calls to stop transactions, not just from your clients, but from prospective ones too." "What did you do?" Emma, equally bitter, echoed his suspicion, accusing me of underhanded tactics. I hadn't done anything, of course, but I had an idea why clients were withdrawing. As I murmured my thoughts aloud, Lucas became furious, insisting I was behind it. Without another word, he dragged me to the president's office, Emma following close behind. In the tense office, the president greeted me with a firm look as Lucas declared, "President, I brought her." Emma quickly chimed in with agreement, as though eager to prove her loyalty. The president turned to me and asked directly, "Why have transactions stopped since you left?" I took a deep breath. "Our clients don't need us to manage their taxes. There are tax accountant firms offering cheaper services. The only reason they stayed with us was because of me." Lucas snapped at my explanation, dismissing it as arrogance. Emma taunted me as well, but I stayed composed and clarified, "I didn't just handle clients. I tailored unique tax-saving strategies that no manual could replicate." Lucas scoffed, arguing their manual-based approach was far more efficient, while Emma nodded in agreement. The president sighed deeply, recognizing the stark contrast in our work styles. Then, in a calm yet serious tone, he dropped a surprising revelation. "I received a call from my father, the former president. Several clients who halted transactions went directly to him. They spoke highly of Daisy and wanted to negotiate on her behalf." I was stunned. I hadn't expected my clients to go so far for me. The president continued, explaining that my contributions had kept the tax department thriving. I not only managed my own clients efficiently but also supported my colleagues' work. My expertise was unmatched, even by Lucas. The former president had also disclosed something startling. Had I not declined a past promotion, I would be holding a position far higher than department head by now. The current president looked at me with regret. I made a mistake asking for your resignation, he admitted. Would you consider returning to the company? Before I could respond, Lucas burst out in anger, protesting the president's decision. Why her? I've been running the department. Emma quickly joined in, praising Lucas's leadership and expressing disbelief. The president silenced them with a stern tone. Since Daisy's resignation, I've received numerous complaints about both of you. It seems you've been shifting your workload onto others while taking credit. Lucas's face paled as the president continued. He exposed that Lucas had been offloading client declaration forms onto subordinates, including Emma's own responsibilities. And yet, the president added, Lucas accused Daisy of being a salary thief. How ironic. The room fell silent as Lucas and Emma's expressions grew more anxious. The president wasn't done. There's also been a leak regarding your romantic involvement. Lucas, sweating profusely, tried to defend himself. I was mentoring Emma as her superior. But the president produced receipts from the accounting department, evidence of dining expenses filed by Lucas, suspiciously related to Emma. Both of their faces turned ghostly pale. Calmly, the president delivered his verdict. You've neglected your duties, inflated expenses, and violated company policy by engaging in an affair, despite being married. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. Lucas and Emma were speechless, their faces drained of color. As I stood there, watching their downfall, I felt no satisfaction, only a quiet resolve. The company I once served was crumbling under the weight of their misdeeds, and justice had been served. Lucas and Emma tried to resist their terminations, pleading desperately to keep their jobs. I have a family, Lucas cried, his voice strained with panic. Emma, trembling, echoed his sentiment, her tone careful as she expressed fear of losing her position. She promised to apologize to me and to others for burdening us with work. Realizing the gravity of their misconduct, neglect of duties and an inappropriate affair with a supervisor, Emma seemed more concerned about salvaging her reputation than anything else. She begged for a second chance. Watching their desperation, I offered advice. Why don't you stop resisting? It's undignified, I suggested calmly. Lucas shot me a venomous glare and snapped, shut up. What would a single person like you understand? I sighed and replied, Lucas, you're the one who got me fired. This is just karma. What goes around comes around. Maybe it's time you took some responsibility and reflected on your actions. Frustrated, Lucas looked away, while Emma bit her lip in distress. Aware of more details about their misconduct, I turned to the president with a knowing smile and asked, should I share more? Lucas and Emma panicked, frantically trying to silence me, but I issued an ultimatum. Wrongdoings always come to light. It's better to face reality before it gets worse. At my words, Lucas and Emma collapsed to their knees, defeated. The president, disgusted by their behavior, made his decision on the spot. They were fired. Later, I revealed the full extent of their misdeeds. Lucas had been faking business trips to spend time with Emma, and together they harassed employees they disliked, forcing them to quit. They would assign sudden, impossible tasks with tight deadlines, breaking people's morale behind closed doors. Though the resigned employees had initially asked me to stay quiet, I felt it was time to speak out since they had moved on to happier workplaces. The president was furious. He declared plans to investigate past expense claims thoroughly and even considered cutting Lucas and Emma's final salaries. Lucas, with tears streaming down his face, begged the president not to cut his pay, fearing the devastating impact on his family. The truth continued to unravel. Lucas's affair with Emma became public, leading to his divorce. Emma and Lucas soon faced claims for financial compensation in the lawsuit, marking a harsh consequence for their actions. I learned about their downfall when Lucas reached out to me, pleading for help to persuade the president to reconsider their firing. However, the damage had been done. The tax industry is a close-knit field, and word of their misconduct spread quickly. Their reputations ruined, Lucas and Emma struggled to find new employment. With no other options, they resorted to day labor at construction sites, a stark contrast to their previous office roles. Emma called me repeatedly, her voice trembling through tears. "Daisy, please help. I only wanted a better life. I never even truly liked Lucas," she sobbed. I listened but reminded her firmly, "The consequences you're facing are a result of your own choices. You can't unring a bell." Despite her regrets, the outcome remained unchanged. As for me, I distanced myself from the chaos of the corporate world. Despite the president's repeated pleas for my return, I refused. Once asked to resign, I had no desire to go back. Instead, I found peace working part-time at a friend's tax office. It allowed me to supplement my income while enjoying a relaxed, stress-free lifestyle. Looking to the future, I began entertaining the idea of starting my own tax office. In my own space, I could serve my clients with care and dedication, free from corporate bureaucracy. I wanted to stand on equal footing with my clients, providing personalized services without any sense of superiority. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life, one filled with excitement, freedom, and opportunities to pursue what truly mattered to me. My second life had just begun, and I looked forward to the journey ahead with eager anticipation.